Hello everyone, welcome back to this video series. This is my 2007 Lexus LS460L. In this video, I'm going to go ahead and reveal to you the cost of getting this car more or less back up to a really nice standard, a real high quality daily driver. I'm not going to go over invoice by, like line by line. I'm going to give you like the end totals and, more or less a summary of what's taken place for each one of those invoices. I'm also going to go over the cost of like the parts and some of the stuff that I've done at the car, like the side view mirrors and door panels and stuff. Certain things that I've been able to do too. I'm going to give you all the cost of that. And then I'm also going to go ahead and finally reveal to you all the price that I paid for the car. I know that question's been asked a few times. So we're going to go over the price I paid for the car, and then we're going to total all that up. And you all can determine if this was a horrible idea or if it's, it's about fair for the car, right? You guys can determine that at the end. I'll give you my opinion at the end as well. So let's go over this. We'll stop the car and we'll, I'll show you some of the stuff that I've done, the end result of it, and also obviously the price. So here it is. Hopefully it's all in frame, but it's complete and fully sorted. And obviously, like I mentioned, we're going to go over today what I've done and how much it's cost to get this car to its fully sorted state. Just so you all know, this is the stack of service records for this car. Obviously there's some dealer fluff in there, tire depth, brake thickness, stuff like that. So I've kind of summed it all up here into one spreadsheet, and we're going to go over everything more or less that's in here, but summaries of it all. So starting here under the hood, or mechanical stuff in general, I don't know why, there's kind of things all over the place. But one of the first things that I did to this car was the oxygen sensor, and that was $979.33. I haven't been back to that Lexus dealer. It was towed there. I would have gone to Longo Lexus because they treat me a little bit better as far as prices. So $979.33 for the oxygen sensor. Then obviously the car was running better. The check engine light and stuff had gone away. So I had found out at the time that the ZLZ on this car, I think it's 10 years from date of new or 10 years but the ZLZ for the dash and the door panels had already expired. That's the recall or whatever, or service bulletin. But Lexus had recently included trim around the center console and lower portions of the dash. So I was like, well, I talked to the dealer, I talked to Longo, and I said, hey, there's a portion of this service that is covered, and obviously you have to take some of these components off to replace the dash. Can those hours be like taken away from what I would have to pay to have the dash done? So they said, yeah, that's fine. We can subtract a certain number of hours that we would have to put in for some of that other stuff. And then I also had the trunk button, because the trunk button had turned sticky. So the dash, I had the dash done, the trunk button, an oil change. All of that was $2,554.58. Then a short bit later, the center console lid looked like trash. It was like, had like dark markings on it and stuff like that. So I also brought the car in to have the valve cover gaskets redone in their entirety on the car. So the valve cover gasket job was about $1,000, and then the new center console lid, I think that was like $600, and then some labor for that as well. That was $1,922.01. Then a short bit later, the front air struts, this car has air ride suspension. The rear air struts were done at about 98,000 miles. I think on Lexus's website you can see previous service history of the car. So the rear air struts were done at like 98,000 miles. The front air struts had never been done, and those are outrageously expensive. even the Longo, I would recommend if you're pricing out new OEM parts for these and you're an individual, you're not doing like wholesale and stuff like that, you don't have the access to some of that stuff, I'd give Longo Lexus a try. This video's not sponsored by them, but the air struts, I think even from Longo Lexus, are about 1,500 bucks each. So that was about $3 just for the air struts. And then I also had the rear seats, the ventilation in the rear seats. There was actually a wire unplugged at some point in time, so I had Longo fix that, troubleshoot that. And then I also had the differential fluid replaced because we're past 100,000 miles, why not? And I also had the transmission fluid and strainer filter replaced as well. That totaled about $4,596.59. So just touching on the air suspension real quick, I can completely understand why people, especially if you have to do all four at once, why some people would opt not to go with air suspension on this thing and just do away with it, because that was probably by far the biggest single bill. Additionally, on this thing, when I would let off the brake and go to the accelerator, when I let off the brake, there was a little bit of a bump feeling, like almost the transmission was in neutral and then going into drive. And then also going uphill, occasionally you'd feel like this, it seemed a little bit starved for power. So I had found online a technical service bulletin through just forums and stuff for both an engine control module update as well as a transmission control module update. So that more or less took care of like the lack of power or surging-ish going uphill, and then also that completely took care of that bump when letting off the brake pedal. That ECU and TCM or ECM, TCM update was $190. And then obviously I'm putting miles on, I'm driving this car. I've covered 30,000 miles or over 30,000 miles so far. I needed new tires, and I opted for the dealer. There are 4 new Michelin tires. I think they're 80,000 mile warranty tires, and an alignment that was $1,369.32. And then, so that's kind of a bit here for underneath the hood. On the car, there are these pieces of molding that they call drip rails. I have a picture so you guys can see that the paint, or it's a vinyl wrap of some sort that's over them that matches the body color. That wrap was starting to come off, and I had those, they're one solid piece of aluminum all the way back, both sides. I had them replaced at the collision center at Longo Lexus because my service advisor there was super nice at the service department. He said it'd be much cheaper at the collision center. They charged me, I think it was like 60 bucks or something like that for the labor, but it was the cost of the parts that was outrageous. Each one of these was like 500 bucks a piece. So that was $1,058.53. And then just basic services, oil changes, tire rotations so far have totaled about $1,100. Again, just for basic services because I have put 30,000 miles on it. So all of that totaled up as dealer repairs, items that I've taken it to the dealer for. That has cost $13,810.36. So this has not been a cheap affair here. Before I close up underneath the hood here, we're getting into the items that I have done. You know, they're simple, relatively simple things. One of them is this plastic cover here and this plastic cover here. The clips were broken. Like this one actually had a kind of a tear in it, and this one did not really adhere to the top of the engine anymore. Between those two, and then also these hood struts, and then all the little plastic, because I've got new plastic pins that hold all this stuff down. We're probably about $500 into that. And then closing out from under the hood, I also, when I first got the car, and this again, this is the reason why I say Longo Lexus is probably one of the best places to go. If you're Longo Lexus parts on their website, if you go to the parts counter, you're probably going to pay retail. But if you go to their website, like I had ordered rotors, pads, shims, all that kind of stuff for the front shortly after I got the car. That was $351 and a penny. So I don't think that's too bad for Lexus OEM parts. Again, that's front pads, that's both front rotors, that's shims, all that kind of stuff, and clips. Now we're going to move on to some of the interior components that I've taken care of. I think that the interior, obviously the dealer did the dash. That was included in the first portion of the video, but I did things like door panels and stuff. We'll take a look at that here next. I wanted to get the heck out of the heat for a minute too. It's 90 degrees outside, so it's kind of nice to be inside here. And for starters, since we're inside here, I'm talking about the heat, I've done the windows. I had the windows tinted. 3M crystalline tinting was about $1,000 to have every window in the car tinted. So since we are here in the front seat, we'll talk about some of the repairs that I've done up here. One of them being the 2 new front door panels. I was not able to source those as used items on eBay, and I'm kind of okay with that. I think that because they transition from the door panel to the dash, I was hoping to be able to source used LS600 HL door panels. We'll talk about that in the back here in a minute. But the LS600 HL door panels have leather here at this top black portion, so it's not, there's nothing there really to melt. It's leather, or maybe it could be vinyl, one of the two, but it's not this melty stuff. So I ended up having to go with brand new Lexus door panels, and they were, I think, $1,263.43 each, times 2. That is $2,526.86. Additionally, while I had the door panels off, I put the door panels on myself, but while I had the door panels off, the driver's side mirror, I think it was the driver's side mirror, no longer electronically folded in, and both mirrors, driver and passenger mirrors, were loose. So like as you washed them or as you drove down the freeway, you could see them kind of fluttering in the wind a little bit. Not the actual connection point to the car, but the mirrors themselves where they pivoted were loose. So I replaced both front mirrors. I think that they're regularly like $900, but through Longo Lexus's website, they come out to, I think, about $600 a piece. The 2 new mirrors, $1,403.81. Obviously, I've got all-weather floor mats in here right now, but the all-weather floor mats, as well as those like fuzzy, fancy, luxury floor mats, those Lexus floor mats. 4 new door switches, because as you know, recall from that earlier video, one of the issues that I had was the battery was being drained as a result of the car not detecting the driver's side door having been opened and then closed, and the headlights weren't shutting off. It was $398.98. Also, I had the, as you saw in an earlier video, there was some door dings and stuff. I had some paintless dent repair done. That was $100. Now, onto the back seat so you all can see kind of sort of what I did back there. Dang, there's just so much space back here. So I'm sitting behind myself, behind my position in the front seat right now, and I've got space. My knees aren't touching the seat. This, unfortunately, I drive the car all the time, so I don't get the opportunity to sit back here too often. But this is a really, really nice place to be. But the door panels back here, as you can see, there's this like stitching on the upper parts of the door panels. These 2 door panels, both doors, were sourced on eBay, and this saved me the biggest chunk of change. I mean, I would be into it. These door panels, I think, are like $2 grand a piece or something in the back, but I sourced them off of eBay for $150 a piece, and they fit. They got the cutouts for the curtains back here. They got the buttons for whatever. I don't know what those are for, but it's got those buttons. The original door panels had those buttons. It's got the configuration for the Mark Levinson speakers. So I got 2 new door panels for the back seat that match the color, match the wood. They just have leather up here. You don't visually see that back here. It doesn't look out of place. I think in the front seat it would have looked out of place where they come together with the dash. Almost forgot. The curtain on that door now actually fully opens and closes. That little piece on the corner was actually getting stuck on the clip for the door panel. When I took the old door panel off, I noticed that the clip in the far corner here was missing off of the door panel, but it was actually inside of the hole or the opening, because the door panel clips on the upper portion to the window shade assembly. So the clip had fallen off in there, and when the window shade was opening on the track, it would stop and the window shade would flop back closed again because that clip was caught in the track. So I removed that when I took the old door panel off, and now all the curtains back here work correctly. That didn't end up costing anything because it was just a matter of me removing the clip. I'll give you the amount that I've paid in repairs and, you know, fixes, cosmetic and mechanical and all that stuff, and I'll also give you the total cost I paid for the car and the cost for everything so far. All right, I know this is kind of different scenery here. I was sitting down editing the video. It's way too long as it is, so I'm just going to give you guys the numbers. I hope you guys appreciated the length of the original video, because it's numbers, it's numbers, it's numbers. You know, it's information on what the reality of the costs of the car are. So we'll give you the end totals here, because I know some of you were waiting for the amount paid for the car. The total for all repairs was $20,622.06. The total to purchase the car was $8,500. $8,500. Yes, the car's technically mechanically salvaged a couple times. And so the total for the fully sorted LS460L was $29,122.06. Now, I'll just touch briefly on why I think it was worth it for me. I'm a big guy, and I've been looking around at a car to kind of, you know, to commute in, right? Put a lot of miles on it. And a lot of the cars I was finding are relatively small cars unless you change up to an SUV. And like, for example, with the Honda Civic, I was getting to the point where, you know, like I was wearing, you know, ice braces on my knee because the way I was sitting in the car. Getting a bigger car was kind of important to me. And then like the 2017 LS460, I was like, well, I have that, but I don't want to use it. That car is very important to me, very special to me. I don't know if I'm ever going to in my life have the opportunity that I had at the time that I got that car to get another car like that. So I don't want to just piss that opportunity away on commuter miles and have it be done in a very short window of time. So it came to my mind that, hey, you know, these can be had for relatively, you know, obviously in total, this was still, I think, cheaper than what most people would spend out the door for a brand new, decently equipped Toyota Camry. And I have, like, you know, a zillion speaker sound system. I got air ride. I got the double glazed glass. I got the large interior on it. So in total for me, for the miles, for my comfort, and also because I fell in love with my 2017 LS460, to me it was just totally worth it to go this route. Obviously it was a bit in excess. I didn't expect for it to come to this, but it's complete, it's done. I mean, you know, there's going to be little repairs here and there in the future, obviously, you know, or even bigger repairs here and there in the future, but that's just the nature of continuing to drive a car. So I hope you like this video. I hope you like the kind of detail by detail explanation of different things that had to be repaired or replaced on the car. And I hope you subscribe and hit that like button. Leave comments in the comment section below, because I will post updates as we go along. Obviously, as I creep up on hopefully the 200,000 mile mark or the 300,000 mile mark. Anyways, thanks for watching.